What's up, people? Joe Winko here, your favorite Hawaiian guy, and here's my next episode of Joe Winko Talk. So, before I get to what I'm going to be talking about, I just want to make a very special announcement because today is a very special day. Today is my 25th birthday, December 5th. Proud Sagittarius, and yeah, I'm really hyped about that too. However, my profile on Grindr will still say that I'm 21 years old. Because come on, 21 and 25 are the same thing, so whatever. I'm actually very relieved that I actually made it to this day because year 2020 has not been a good year. It hasn't been a good year for anyone, really, obviously. And it definitely hasn't been a good year for me either. However, some good things did happen this year. One thing that I was really happy about was being part of the coronavirus vaccine trials. As you all know, I've been really worried about coronavirus because I'm considered high risk of complications for coronavirus because I'm a type 1 diabetic and also because I'm African American as well. And in case you guys forgot, I actually live down in Florida, which is considered a hot spot for coronavirus, unfortunately. But nowadays, nearly every state has become a hot spot for coronavirus. And unfortunately, I do not live by myself. I live with my adoptive dad's brothers who aren't taking the coronavirus seriously. Luckily, one of them left to go live with his girlfriend who lives in another state. He's been gone since May, and I hope he never comes back. And the other one barely spends any... Well, he still comes over to the house every single day to do random stuff, but he spends every single night at his girlfriend's house. And I seriously hope that one day he never comes back either. So it's just me here by myself, so I'm safe. So in this episode of Joe Winko Talk, I'm just going to talk about my experience in the coronavirus vaccine trials and how I feel about being involved with it. I've told quite a few people that I was in the coronavirus vaccine trials, and quite a few people I have told it to, they were all saying that I was brave, and they were all saying, thank you, I'm glad you're taking part in that, and you're very brave for volunteering for that. But the thing is, the reason why I was participating in the coronavirus vaccine trials is because I was worried about myself, and I needed to keep myself safe. Because I was living with my adoptive dad's brothers. I'm living with my adoptive dad's brothers who aren't taking this virus seriously. They both support Donald Trump, so that right there should explain everything. And I even overheard them talking about how coronavirus is a joke and how Dr. Fauci is lying about it. So that right there, I definitely didn't feel safe at all. These past few months have literally been a living hell. Yeah, they could have been much worse, but they literally been a living hell. Like, ever since March, it's been a living hell. I've been scared to leave my bedroom, but I have to leave my bedroom because I can't stay in here forever. And then I have them walking all up in this house and everything. And then my adoptive dad's brother, he actually had friends over. Both of them actually had friends over during this coronavirus pandemic and everything. Even though I'm considered high risk, and they know that because of my diabetes, and plus with me being African American, and in case you're wondering, neither of them are African American. And it was miserable, honestly. And I keep reading online about how people are typing in that they're sad because they can't go out and see their family members, how they have to stay to themselves and isolate. And they're sad because they have to keep to themselves and isolate and can't go out to see anyone. But in all honesty, it's a lot worse when you actually do want to stay by yourself and when you actually do want to isolate, but you can't do that at all. That is much, much worse. Especially when you're unlucky enough to be living with people who aren't taking this virus seriously. Even earlier, my adoptive dad's brother's son just came down to this house to visit from Wisconsin, and I had no idea he was coming. He came down to visit with his girlfriend. They had a key to the house. I did not let them in. They had a key to the house. They came down to visit, and they were only here for a few days. They eventually left. But I wasn't happy about that at all. I was really angry. Why are you coming from a coronavirus hotspot? Because Wisconsin is a coronavirus hotspot. It's getting really bad up there. And coming to a house where a person who's at high risk for coronavirus lives. Someone with underlying conditions. And also, they didn't even know that I was in the vaccine trials, so they didn't know that I had protection. But still, when someone is doing stuff that stupid and is putting my safety and my health at risk, I take it very personally. In all honesty, I still want to get away from my adoptive dad's brothers. And first of all, I don't even like this part of Florida that we're living in because it's too close to the water and it's too crowded and there's too many stupid people here. If it was up to me, I would be living in Ocala, Claremont, or Tallahassee instead. However, as I said many times, my adoptive parents, they do plan on getting a vacation home 60 miles southwest of the city of Jacksonville, Florida, sometime after this pandemic ends and after they get their vaccines and when it's safe to come down to Florida. And they said that once they get their vacation home, that I could live there, and they want to choose a place that's inland, away from the water, because they're the only ones smart enough to listen to me about the hurricane risk. And then they said that I could live there, and they said it's going to be someplace quiet and someplace that isn't too crowded and everything. And I was really happy about that. But until that happens, I'm stuck here, really. And it just sucks, honestly. Now, about the coronavirus vaccine, I got my first shot of it on September 11th, September 12th. I don't remember the exact date. I had to ride a bus all the way across the state of Florida to get there. And how I was able to do that was my grandma, who lives up in Canada, she's been really worried about me because of this coronavirus stuff. I told her that they're doing the vaccine trials for coronavirus in Florida. However, it's all the way on the east coast of Florida. And she said, "Oh, well, you should participate in that. I'll send you the bus ticket." And I was like, "Really?" And she said, "Yeah." And, well, in all honesty, it wasn't really her idea. It was my idea. She was a bit hesitant about it at first. And that's when I told her, but it's all the way on the east coast of Florida. And she said, "Well, I'll send you the bus ticket." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." So that's what I did. I just went over there. And then they gave me the first shot right then, that day. And I was worried because half the people get the placebo, half the people get the real vaccine. And then a month later in October, my grandmother sent me another round-trip bus ticket to go back to the east coast of Florida. And just in case you guys are wondering, that bus ride was absolutely miserable because they require people to wear a mask, and I had my mask on, all my PPE, my goggles, my face shield. But a lot of people were not listening to that rule, and I was just feeling nervous the whole entire bus ride. Luckily, it wasn't too long, but it was awful. However, that was one way that I found out that the whole PPE and protective equipment, that's how I found out that it actually worked, because I didn't get sick while riding those buses at all. And I was able to go back and get my second shot. The only side effect I had was stiffness in my arm, and I was worried that I might have gotten the placebo. However, there was a group that I joined on Facebook where people who are involved in the Moderna coronavirus vaccine trials were talking about their symptoms and everything. And they said that how they were able to tell whether they got the real vaccine or the placebo was they went in to get a special kind of antibody test. And if their test came back positive for coronavirus antibodies, that means that they had immunity against coronavirus in their blood. And therefore, it would most likely be that they got that immunity from getting the vaccine. So that's exactly what I did. I got my last coronavirus shot on, I believe it was October 13th, but I don't remember the exact date. And then I went in a couple weeks later on October 27th to get an antibody test. And it came back positive for coronavirus antibodies. And I remember I got the notification for that result on my phone, and I was so nervous because I wanted it to come back positive, and then it came back positive saying that I had immunity to the coronavirus. And I just remember how hyped I was, really, but I just thought it was really weird being excited about a positive result on a blood test. Usually that's not something to be happy about, but it's the only positive result that I ever got in my entire life, so yeah, and this was for something good. This was to prove that I had immunity to coronavirus. And then a month later, well, just a few days ago, really, I got another antibody test, just in case the test wasn't accurate, or just to double check to make sure that my antibodies were still there. And that one, too, came back positive for coronavirus antibodies. So I'm really happy about that, really relieved about that. However, I still don't feel 100% safe. I mean, I'm still being careful. And I did hear that they said that Moderna's coronavirus vaccine was 95% effective. 95% effective, not 100% effective. But that's still pretty good and everything. But I'm still going to try to keep myself safe. Still going to wear my mask. Still going to wear my PPE. Still going to keep myself safe. And just try to look out for myself. However, I did get a bit more comfortable. Like, for example, a week or so ago, I went down to Miami. This crazy guy picked me up and brought me to Miami. But the coronavirus wasn't the thing I should have been worried about. It was the crazy guy that I should have been worried about, who tried shoving me off a 6-story balcony. I did a whole episode of Joe Winko Talk about that. I'll have the link to it in the pinned comments. The thing is, I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't had a positive antibody result, and if I didn't know that I had immunity to coronavirus. I wouldn't have gone all the way to Miami, but I still wanted to get away from my adoptive dad's brothers, even though I have protection from coronavirus. I mean, the very fact that they weren't taking this virus seriously, I don't want to be anywhere near them. And I still feel uncomfortable whenever I hear my adoptive dad's brother, the one that's still here, walk into this house, or when anyone walks into this house, because I have no idea where they've been. And I'm still going to continue to feel uncomfortable, and I'm still going to continue to take all the same precautions, wearing my mask, using my hand sanitizer, trying not to touch my face or my eyes, and being careful. The question is, how long does this all go on? How long am I going to be feeling this way? And I already know the answer. I mean, once so many people stop dying every single day, because I've been following the statistics on how many people are being killed by this virus every single day in the USA alone, and it's horrible. But once everyone else starts getting the vaccine, and once people stop dying of this virus, and once it stops spreading everywhere, that's when I'm finally going to feel comfortable. Because it wasn't like I got the vaccine and suddenly, all of a sudden, I was like, oh, I'm safe now. I can do whatever I want. No, that's not how it was. I'm not going to snap back to that right away. And either way, even after all this coronavirus stuff is over, I'm still going to worry. What if something like this happens again? What if another virus comes out and starts killing everyone? And I don't want to be one of the first people who gets it. I don't want to be patient zero. Absolutely not. So I'm still going to be careful. And people keep saying, when are we going to go back to normal? But the thing is, I don't think we're ever going to go back to normal. We're always going to be extremely cautious about everything we do. I wish we would have been this way from the start. Otherwise, it wouldn't have gotten this bad. But we're always going to be extremely cautious about everything we do. As we should be, really. Just like when I rode the Greyhound bus from Florida all the way to California. And I remember being on that bus and watching the footage of me on that bus. And I wore my mask. I wore a mask on my face. And this was way before coronavirus. And I remember I showed that to my adoptive parents back in summer of 2019, and they were laughing at me for it, and I saw the future. And to be completely honest, I always wanted to get the coronavirus vaccine. As soon as I first heard about coronavirus, I wanted to take that vaccine right away. And I also found out on the news that after they discovered the coronavirus, they already had the vaccine done for it in 2 days. But they hadn't released it to anyone yet because they needed to test whether it was safe. I wouldn't have minded testing it. Because the thing is, this virus is spreading everywhere, so what I would assume, and this is probably just because of my autism mind, what I would assume is I'm already in danger anyway, so what would I rather die of? A virus that fills up my lungs and has me attached to a breathing machine, or a bad vaccine that kills me? I would choose the vaccine, honestly. But it didn't kill me. It hardly did anything. The only thing it did was help give me immunity to coronavirus. I don't know how long that immunity lasts, but I hope it lasts long enough. Long enough for all this to end, and long enough to keep me safe. Because the thing is, coronavirus is a horrible way to die. It's horrible what happens to these people. It's not like they just drop dead. They suffer. And it's terrible what these people go through. And I don't want to go through that at all. Definitely not. Especially because of my stupid adoptive dad's brothers. And I also wanted to get the vaccine right away because the messed up thing about it is, once this vaccine gets approved, and if I wouldn't have been in the vaccine trials, I would have been one of the last people to get the vaccine. Because the way they're doing it, they're giving it to healthcare workers first, then they're giving it to people who live in nursing homes, then they're giving it to people who are considered high risk. But I think their definition of high risk is someone who's old and with major underlying health conditions. And I just have type 1 diabetes. People always tell me, oh, you're young, you'll be fine. Well, first of all, I'm not really that young. I'm already halfway through my 20s. I already am lying about my age on Grindr, making myself younger than I really am, so that right there says a lot. And also, a lot of people in their 20s are dying of this virus. There was actually one girl, she was a nurse in Texas, who died of coronavirus. I think her name was, I forgot how to pronounce her name, but I think it was Adeline. She was 28 years old, and only 3 years older than me, and she died of this virus. And she wasn't even African American. She didn't have underlying health conditions. And she still suffered and still died of this virus. She was on life support for 2 months before she passed away. And it was horrible what happened to her, and I felt sorry for her. It's just really tragic because it isn't fair. And she's not the only one either. There was also another 18-year-old girl from Connecticut who contracted coronavirus, and what happened with her is it all started with chest pain she was having in January. Her name was Yasmin, and she wanted to be a fashion designer, and she lived in Connecticut, one of the states that I'm spiritually connected to, and she wanted to be an actress too. And what happened was she was having chest pains in January. Before coronavirus, like, people knew about it. It was in China and everything, but no one thought it was spreading through the USA, but it was that whole entire time. And the doctors just said that it was anxiety. But then months passed, and by March, she got really sick and had to go to the hospital. And they put her on a ventilator. And she passed away in April of 2020. She was 18 years old. And it's even more sad because she reminds me of one of my friends I went to high school with. And I just think every single day when I see that thousands of people are dying of this virus every day, they're more than just numbers. These are actually people. These are people who had lives that ended horribly, and people who are suffering. And it's just really disturbing because we're the USA. We're supposed to have the best healthcare, the best technology and everything. Yet we have people dying left and right from coronavirus. And we're the worst affected country in the world. I don't get it, really. Well, yeah, I get it. It's because horrible leadership from Trump. But it's just messed up. And I'm just wondering, when is it all going to finally end? And what's going to be left of all of it? Because not only am I worried about myself, I mean, I'm worried about some of my friends too, and I actually am worried about my adoptive parents also. I mean, they seem to be keeping safe, but it doesn't seem like they know as much about the virus as I do. I even remember when I was on the phone with my adoptive mom, and I was worried about coronavirus, and she was even telling me, Joe, you don't have the virus right now, because if you had it, you wouldn't be talking at all, and you wouldn't be breathing at all either. You'd be dead. And I was just like, are you serious? Because that actually isn't even true. People can have it asymptomatically or pre-symptomatically. They could be feeling fine one day, but then when it finally kicks in, that's when they start having the serious issues from it. It's just messed up, honestly. But I want to end this episode of Joe Winko Talk on a more positive note. As I was saying earlier, today is my 25th birthday. I didn't want to go out. I just wanted to keep to myself. Hopefully I have this all uploaded onto YouTube before December 5th ends. But I actually have my own cake and everything. Let me pull it out real quick. Well, let me get my table out first. I have so much stuff in my bedroom. 1 second. Okay, so I finally got some matches since my damn lighter wasn't working. In case you guys are wondering why I have a lighter, I don't smoke at all. but I do light candles pretty often for like rituals that I do. I'll explain that in a future episode of Joe Winko Talk. Alright, gotta be careful because when I do these, the flames are pretty big, but yeah. Alright. Are the fucking candles gonna light? Oh, yeah, they did. I better be careful. Alright. Got that. Alright, so here's my 25th birthday cake. My lonely birthday that I'm celebrating all by myself. Better get used to it. I mean, I guess, depending on how much time I have left. So, I don't want to sing happy birthday to myself, so let me see if I can find a video of someone singing happy birthday, so I have someone to sing to me at least. Hold on a second. Here's one.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Alright, we only needed to hear that once. I only needed to hear that once. Not sure about you guys. See? 25, not 52. Alright. So, yeah, time to blow it out. Okay. Make a wish. Oh, there's so many wishes I have to make. Alright. You guys remember That's So Raven when Chelsea was wishing on each of the candles? Alright, what's my wish? Oh, those blew out really easily. Yeah, I got to blow this one out since no one else was eating it, and so you guys don't have to worry about my spit all over it, because I'm the only one that's going to be eating this cake, so yeah. Oh yeah, you guys won't believe how many calories are in this thing, like 400 something. Yeah, but it's probably the only thing I'm going to eat all day, so yeah. Alright, so I'm going to enjoy my birthday cake right now. So anyway, I hope you guys all liked this episode of Joe Winko Talk. Not sure what I want for my 25th birthday, but a lighter that's easier to use and that I don't have to have long nails for. I mean, I was able to use this earlier, but it was too difficult. I was trying to light the candles on my cake. That's basically all I use this for, to light candles when I'm doing spell rituals and everything. But again, I'm saving that for a new episode of Joe Winko Talk. I really wanted a red velvet cake, but all I could find was a, oh, it's already cut too. Was a cheesecake, a strawberry cheesecake. Let me see how it tastes. Oh, it's actually really good. And it's healthy. It has cheese, so I guess that's protein. Maybe. I'll tell you what else is protein. Alright, I'll try not to make this an X-rated episode of Joe Winko Talk. But yeah. The only episode of Joe Winko Talk that I actually featured cake in. So, that's it for this episode of Joe Winko Talk. What did you think of this episode of Joe Winko Talk? What did you think about me blowing out my birthday cake candles and everything? And that's basically it for this episode of Joe Winko Talk. So I hope you guys are all staying safe and staying healthy. And I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode of Joe Winko Talk too. So don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. And don't forget to check my Amazon wish list so someone can get me a new lighter that I don't have to scrape my nails in order to work. I mean, I don't have much experience with using lighters. I mean, I was able to use this thing at first, but I wasn't able to light my candles with it for some reason at all. I guess that's because it's so humid in my bedroom. But yeah, that's it. So, peace out, people.